Don't forget to record.
All right, we are now recording. My name is Clint Thacker. I'm the Executive Director at the beautiful Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley. And we are going to be talking about some questions we've had today. There's obviously, it's kind of funny. We get a trend of questions every single month. And this month is about heartworm and feral cats. Seems to be the trend for these two. And that is good. I'm glad to see people have both those things on their mind. So to begin with, these set of questions. What has happened to get the Animal Service Center Mesilla Valley a big sign that can be seen from Highway 70? Oh, I'm sorry, what has to happen to get the big sign that can be seen from Highway 70 promoting services like adoption and microchipping? I know that Pedro and Bernice met up while I was out of the state, but they met up and had a good conversation about where to put some signs. I think this person is thinking of a big sign that that goes all the way up and electronic and can be seen. I guess what has to happen is first we get a price and to see what it's going to take and get a quote. So I'm going to contact the city and see who will even do a job like that and see if there's a city vendor, so that way we get special pricing and things like that. But to get a big electronic sign, I'm kind of hesitant though to do it currently at the old center, because in a year we're going to be in the new facility that's just down the street. So but we would still need one here though for, like when you start doing public spay and neuters, that type of thing, to promote microchipping. So it would be used. So I'm going to put on here to contact the city for that. And we'll look into it. Meanwhile, I'm on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We have a managers meeting, and it's all the managers get together and we talk about issues that come up. And I know, Pedro, you are on Bernice's list to bring up the signs, what's going to be on the signs, and location. So that will be good to discuss that. So we'll let you know and we'll get back to you. All right, next question is, what is the current timeline for the new Gobon Center construction? What this person is meaning is just the new center. Where are we at on that? So the RFP went out in December. We got some bids. There was a committee review that I was lucky enough to be a part of, and it's in negotiation. There was a contractor that was seen as the best. So now that they're in negotiations with that contractor about everything that you can imagine is being negotiated. So we hope by the end of the month we'll have a general contractor on, and digging will start here in, I hope, March, as soon as it can get going. Just of note, there's about 3 to 4 months at least of ground or of dirt work that needs to be done before you're ever going to see any building going up. That big mountain, it's not a mountain, the big hill that's over here right on the corner of Rinconada and Patan Memorial, how it goes up like this, that has to be flat. So all that has to be taken out. And there's also a sewer line that goes through it. So there's utilities that have to be moved. So it's a big project. So like I said, 3 to 4 months of just dirt work before any cement slab is going to be poured. So keep that in mind. So I do know that it's somewhere between April and June of 2022 is the completion date for the center. So that will get a lot more firm once we get closer to it. Where are things in terms of...
Excuse me, Clint, could you repeat that date? Did you call that completion date? What was that again?
Somewhere between April and June of 2022. Yep.
Thank you.
And that's part of the negotiations. They'll get us a better date once a general contractor's on contract.
Thank you.
All right, number 3, where are things in terms of standing up the new high volume spay neuter? What are some things the coalition and others can do to help move things along? So the center is currently not doing spay and neuter, public spay and neuter, or we are doing high volume, high volume as we can do. Good old Dr. Haddon has, she's really attacked the foster to adopts animals and has got it down to a number that's the first time in years has been under 100. So that's fantastic. And what I mean by that is the number of animals waiting to be sterilized. However, when we focus on just one place, that means that other animals, the number starts kind of creeping up. But Dr. Haddon's done a good job of keeping the shelter animals sterilized. And there's some other things we're going to talk about today too, of where we're going with the sterilization of animals in the center. Let's see. So what I was getting at is if we throw another one in the mix, like public sterilizations right now, that would be just too burdensome on our program currently. Dr. Haddon does want to put in, and she's shaking her head yes, that is a goal of hers to do public spay and neuters. And if we'll keep going the way we are, hopefully we'll be able to get that in. Dr. Haddon, did you want to say anything about that?
No, just that we are getting close, and that is a priority of mine, and we will have to transition into it slowly. I've already been talking to the surgical staff about how we can do publics. I know they did them in a different place last time, and to me that doesn't seem necessary, but to have specific days for publics and specific days for hours being all fosters, RTOs and stuff like that. So it is in the process, and we have big plans as soon as we get the new center so that we can use more space here for our surgical facility, which will greatly increase our ability to do more. So that's all.
All right, thanks, Doc. Next question is, are you planning to have another ASCMV vaccination microchip event this year? I'm glad that Liz Seeley is not on this call because she would probably hurt me, but yes, we do plan on doing, and we'd like to do at least 2 in 2021. They're hugely successful. Do they bring revenue to the center? Yes, we do get a boost in our revenue because of them, but that's the main drive behind them, is to get animals microchipped and to get animals the rabies vaccine. That's the main push behind those. But they are a lot of work, you guys, to just to get set up, as in, months before, finding a place and doing all those things. But once we get back up to staff and the weather gets a little bit more solid, then we're going to advertise those and get those out. So long answer, yes. Yeah. This is another question that came out. Is people are finding animals that are stray. When they call dispatch or the shelter, they're told that we are not taking strays, or you are not taking strays. So what are we supposed to do with these dogs? That's correct. We're not, right now, because of COVID, we need to keep our numbers down as much as possible. So one thing we're doing is we are not accepting healthy stray animals. We do give you a whole packet of things that can be done to get that animal back. Studies have shown that a dog is, when it's redeemed, the owner says, or the owner states that it's found within 1,000 feet or 1,000 yards of, I've heard it from 2 miles to 1,000 yards, but it's found within where the owner lives, where the animal goes. So what we do is we give you information of how to get the animal back. We urge you to go for a walk with the dog around the neighborhood. We ask you to talk to neighbors, several houses down, up and down. Have you seen the dog? Do you know who it belongs to? Just doing those simple steps, even before you call animal control, would be able to get that animal back and keep it out of the shelter. And we ask that you hold on to them. If you can't, positively you cannot do it, we will take those animals. It's not a dead set no on our part. But it has to be the very, very last ditch effort, for that animal. And as it should be. I mean, we are a community that several of us that are striving and love our animals and want to keep the animals out of here. So if responsible pet owners is what we need to start creating. And part of that is knowing where your animals are. Let's see. Just making sure I answered this question, because most of it's just a statement. Yeah, it looks like I did. Good. This next one is more of a statement than it is really a question. This person wanted to know what our budget is. So our budget it sits around 2.7 million right now. And it says, is it adequate to protect companion animals and people in our community? So I think we have a little bit of a mission creep here. I don't know if our community, or if my mission as the Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley is really to protect people in the community. I think our mission is to provide a safe place for animals to be able to be redeemed by their owners, and also to save as many animals as we can by creating inventive means of getting them out. I don't know about protecting companion animals and people in our community, so that's a hard question to answer. The second question is if your budget is inadequate to serve the people and the animals in the community, what is you as the director going to do to remedy that? Well, again, that's a hard one to answer because of one word is COVID. This year has been so strange. We were terrified that our budget was not going to even cover our base needs coming into this budget year. Roughly a year ago, if you remember, we didn't know how we were going to keep staff on hired because we had a shortfall where we were hiring, or we had people employed, but those positions were not funded in the previous budget. So it was terrifying is what it was. And we were able to scrimp and we made it. So long story short, the city ponied up extra money, but the county never did. And we're still in negotiations with the county to give us some funds. And if you were watching the board meeting last week, you heard Councilor Gondola mention that in the meeting. Says, well, where is the county at in giving the county funds? So what I'm trying to get back is we have used a lot of our funds that we currently have that's now available because of COVID. You guys, we're down half of where we're usually at population wise, and that means less food that we're purchasing, less equipment's wearing out, things like that we're able to point it more towards other areas that we haven't been able to in the past. So I can't really judge off this year what our needs are as far as a budget. So it's really hard. Let me get back to the question though. So our current budget, I would say, is adequate to save the lives. Would we like to have more? We would love to have a foster coordinator. I mean, that would be huge to have a foster coordinator right now for us, but it's not one of our approved positions, which we're going to go for this next budget year. And if things stay as they are, then we'll have plenty of money and plenty of funds to bring on a foster coordinator. Not a problem. So Dr. Haddon, did you want to say something?
Yes, as far as budget goes and prices of stuff, yes, we have fewer animals, but I think everyone needs to realize also that some prices have quadrupled. For example, exam gloves. We used to be able to get a box of 100 for $10. Now they're anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks, if not more, and they're limited. So even though lower numbers, the costs of everything has gone up. So just please keep that in mind also.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, the cost of gloves it really has tripled per box. It's outrageous, the cost of gloves. All right, this next question. I understand the enrichment cages will be removed as the construction continues with the new building. Will new enrichment cages be constructed along with the new building? Yes. Let me get. I should have been more prepared for this. I'm sorry. But over here, you can see all this area on the side is all going to be areas of enrichment areas. So all the ones with all the circles going around. So we're going to have I'll see if I can get a better thing and explain it to you better for that printout, but it's going to have a lot is what we're going for. 3 different areas, and they're kind of pie shaped going out. We wanted to do this in case we wanted to expand with more dog pods, more dog buildings, that we could easily plug them in to those locations and also behind it. So this brings up the next question, which is a great question, is please, if yes, please consider constructing 2 enrichment areas to use in the interim between the new construction and prior to the current ones being removed. I care very much to continue this work I do with the dogs as the new building is constructed. I emailed this individual back and said, that's great. I hadn't actually thought about that. So we will consider that. There's plenty of area back. Also on this other side, I would be the east side of the shelter of the center that's not being used. We can use that area as well. Problem with that is access, but we'll deal with that when we get there. But thank you for bringing that up. Next one again is more of a statement. As you know, we switched, or we're trying a new program called Adoptimize. And what that does is it has a tool in it when you take a picture of the animal that snips out the animal and puts the colored background behind it. Now, the studies behind this have shown that individuals pay attention more to the animal than they do the background. It's all warm, fuzzy kind of stuff that I know some of us have a little hard time with grasping, but the return to owner rate in El Paso, since they started this, doubled, and the adoption rate almost tripled when they do these. Now, the problem is our picture quality that our center employees are taking are not very good. There's examples here that, yeah, the animal looks really, really weird. And there's comments that was sent to me from Facebook saying, you know, why are we doing this new one? Like, here's one that the dog just kind of looks weird. You know, but people are saying they're not a fan. But those studies or those examples that have come out that got to us are pretty big. But that's our problem. We will get better on taking pictures. I want to do not just face close pictures like this one. I want to get away from that and do more of body shots so we're able to see the whole entire animal. Because they're not supposed to do pictures like this anyways, because that face or this one right here, how many dogs look like that? You know, a lot of dogs look like that. We need to get the full body picture. So if my dog has a white part on it on a side, you know, we need to get a full body for that to happen, to look better. So yeah, that's the new system we're using. It's different, but just have patience as we work with it as well. All right, here's another one. It says, someone has commented about the adoption fee increase. I watched last week's shelter board meeting and saw it was approved. So this person says that they're coming to meet the dog at 2:30 at the shelter. This is, by the way, is everyone aware the adoption fees at the shelter were just raised to 150? Are they trying to price adoptions out of most people's ability to pay? I'm appalled. So this is a perfect example of judging us before you hear what we had to say about it. So yes, we did raise the adoption fee to $150, but that is the base fee. If you come in and you see an animal you really want and it's not sterilized and it just barely came in, you're going to pay for the sterilization, which on average costs us $122 to do. So you'll pay for the sterilization, and then you'll also pay for some of the care that the animal cost to house for. However, if you find an animal that is already sterilized and has been at the center longer than 3 months, you're only going to pay $50 for it. What we're doing is we're pushing the attention of taking an animal that's not sterilized, and we're pushing it towards more animals that are sterilized at the center, so they don't even need to go into the foster to adopt program. So it's like a discount program. All adoptions start off at $150, but once you start choosing the ones you want, it drops down significantly to $50. And $50 for an animal that's sterilized, fully vaccinated, microchipped, and licensed is a phenomenal price. So we also contacted local rescues. There's rescues out here that charge $100 for a sterilized cat. Usually it's $50 is what the normal that we saw, so that's why we took it down. And those animals are the same. They're sterilized and have vaccines, just like our animals will. There are some hesitations by the board for this sudden change in adoptions, but we look forward to being able to prove them wrong, so to say. And I also think it just gives more value for that as well. When a person is willing, really wants something to happen, if they want an unsterilized animal, they're going to pay for it and have the animal come back because they've already paid for it. Whereas before it was only $25 and there was no incentive, I could say, to have the animal back. There is one question on here. It says, if the animal is unsterilized, they pay the $150 fee, will they get $75 back at a later date? And the answer is no. You paid with that $150, you paid for the sterilization. That money goes towards the animal being sterilized. Good question. All right, the last question that I have, there's others that have some more, is, are there any new programs that will be put in place to protect the feral cats? Example of fundraising, city programs, neighborhood programs. I think Las Cruces could do a better job of helping each other and the neglected animals. So I'm bound, I have to do what the ordinances of the city and the county say. And currently the ordinance for the city does not, it forbids a feral cat program or trap, neuter, return, or community cats. They're all the same thing. However, there has been an ordinance review that happened over the last 2 years. And this ordinance is now on March 8th. The ordinance is going before the city council. And the city council, it's a work session. So there they'll give their opinions of it. And we can talk about it there. In that ordinance, it does allow trap, neuter, return in the city. So that is what we need to do, is if you are for trap, neuter, return, or you just want to try something different, because we've been killing cats since the 80s, even before the 80s, we've been euthanizing cats, and there hasn't been any difference whatsoever in population, even an increase, I dare say, because more people have moved into the area. So if you like TNR, or you just want to see something else tried, you need to contact your city councilor. Just call the city office, send an email, do anything. Because when I talked to Councilor Gondola, we talked on Thursday, she said that she is inundated with negative TNR. Just constant people calling and saying, I hate these cats. You know, they're using the flower bed as the bathroom. They're everywhere. My neighbor feeds them. And she said that's not just her, but that's all of them. And she said if she had to vote right now, she would vote no for the ordinance. because the constituents who are coming to her are the loudest, are the people that she listens to, right? So we need to be a louder voice and have that happen. So that's my part. Are there any questions to anything that we talked about before we switch it over? Dr. Haddon has some about heartworm she's going to address.
Clint, could I add about the feral cats and
Yeah.
community cats is that, you know, when we say Counselor Gondalar and others are being inundated with negative responses, well, I think we need to keep in mind it's because there isn't a program.
That's right.
We made a mistake in having a sunset clause and not doing something before that sunset clause went into effect. So what people our community members are responding to now that's negative is cats are problems because they aren't being managed. There aren't colony managers. So I really hope that the counselors keep that in mind as they're getting input. And of course, we're having a task force meeting this afternoon at 3:30. And as a member of the coalition,
It's 3:30, not 2:30. Don't be an hour early.
I won't be here. I promise. I'm hoping an outcome. Of course, we don't know what's going to transpire for sure, but I've said as a member of the coalition, would the counselors and commissioners be, well, I guess it's counselors because the county already has a program, but will they be more receptive, more in agreement to the ordinance and leaving it intact if we've got community members that will help support it and perhaps form a committee. Like we've had the task force, let's form a group of people that want to focus and put our emphasis on helping bring resources.
Okay, and I did tell her that we currently don't have a program, and the counselors, the city counselors, they keep bringing up the sunset clause and the ordinance we had. And I've called them out a few times and I said, listen, the program you had before, it didn't do anything because you required registration and there were no cat colonies registered because people don't want to register their cats, period. They don't want you to know what they have. And I said, you're exactly right. There is no data because nobody wanted to give it to you. It's so they all in the matter and in the definition of change is we need to do it. You know, people need to set aside or put aside their personal feelings about this. And because it's not just Councilor Gonda, it's there's 3 others that are on that council that don't like trap neuter return. And they need to put aside those things, those feelings, approve the ordinance so we can try something different. Otherwise, we're just going to keep killing cats and they will not have a live release rate greater than 90%. So, all right, Dr. Haddon.
And that isn't the answer to the bird issues and everything else. Because you don't control the cats, you're going to have more predation. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect all the way around. All right, Dr. Haddon. You're on mute. I'll go on mute and you can let us know. Talk to us about heartworm.
Okay, we had 2 questions regarding heartworm is why we don't test on intake. That's just one more expense. A lot of these, well, not a lot, but some of these animals will be returned to owner. We don't do the heartworm tests on them. Some of them are sick and do end up getting euthanized. If they're getting through the system, if they're going to rescue, if they're going to adoption, foster to adopt, foster, any of those, that's kind of where we draw the line. And I hate to say it's a waste of money, but it's more resources putting into animals that could be used elsewhere. Okay, so that's why we don't do it initially. Now, the second question was a long statement about regarding the ones that we just posted, the heartworm positive dogs. Oh, Clint, Sorry.
I just want to say something really quick. It's done via a blood test, right? That's how you test for heartworm.
Yes.
That takes 3 individuals. So if you take 3 individuals, one to hold, one has the test, maybe even 2, but that takes up 2 individuals. If we do it on intake, yesterday, or was it the day before, we had 30 animals come in. And the day before that, I think was 27. The day before that was 21. We've had a horrible week. So if we were to do that, that would tie up 2 people for, it's just, we can't be done. It's almost impossible.
The other thing is on intake, these animals are freaked out. And in order to get blood, you have to hold them still, hold their leg, the vein off, just like with people, and poke them in the vein. These guys are so freaked out, it's very hard to do that. And that just increases their stress. So those are the combination of reasons why we don't do it at intake. Okay, the next one was regarding the 13 dogs that we had Liz post for rescue that are heartworm positive. They asked why we do it at a clump, instead of do it as we go. And honestly, there is no reason why not. And I think it's a great idea that we do it as we go. The thing is the staff to do it as we go. As you know, right now we have one rescue coordinator doing the job of 2 people. She would be the person that would do that. So I think it's a good idea. We just have to figure out how to get it done. The reason we haven't posted them before is because we haven't had the need to get them out. Right now we're short on space, and that's why they would be fine staying here if it weren't for space. And that's why we haven't posted them before, because we don't want to burden the rescue folks if it's something that can stay here. It's when we can't keep them here, that's when we post. So that's going to be something that has to be worked through, because I hate to, like I said, I would hate to, if we have space here, they don't have to go to rescue. And I don't know if that's a reason to not post them or not. I'm not, no, we can, well, at the managers meeting, we can have that discussion, and also with Liz, and then who's going to post them, and how often. Even if it's weekly. I understand the rescue person that asked the question said, even if we did it weekly, yeah, but then somebody's got to do that post. So
and another thing to consider is we usually do these either at surgery time or test the animals either when they get surgery or when they're going up for adoption. And so we may only have 3 heartworm positive dogs, but it's a roll of the dice every time they come up. And if we have 3 in one day, then all of a sudden we went from 3 to 6 for heartworm positive animals. And sometimes when they're heartworm positive, the people that are adopting them, they don't want them. Even though we educated them about heartworm and how we can do that, they don't want them. So then they get put back into the general adoption. So our numbers fluctuate and go around, but can we, or do we have the capability of running a report for heartworm positive dogs? Yes. Is it possible for the public to see what dogs are heartworm positive? Yes. I believe that's one of the attributes to sort by on our webpage.
I'm sorry, I have to run real quick. I'll be right back.
Run.
Sorry.
You're good. I'm just going to really quick, I want to share my screen and let's look at this together. All right, so here is our website. So you can go to attribute heartworm positive. And I know a lot of people probably don't know that this can happen. I don't know if it went or not. Yeah, it did. So right now, those guys, oh yeah, I recognize packs. So these animals right there are the ones that are currently in the center that have heartworm. So you can search by any of these that are on here to select them out. And that's just a, you know, part of it is just education, letting people know that that's a possibility to do that. So, Paul, you have something you want to say?
A couple quick things. To clarify, those are all the heartworm positives that are also available for adoption, right?
Yes.
So we might have some that are positive and also under treatment for respiratory issues or something like that, so they're not available. The other thing I was going to say, we actually do try to put out a lot of heartworms, you know, out there for rescue and stuff. I think we've had one or two in foster at all times for the last few years, it seems like. You know, they also get offered to these big rescues that sometimes pull 20 to 40 animals. So just that we're not sitting on them constantly. They are out there. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Also, before we continue on, I want to say, have it on record, goodbye to Erica. Today is her last day. Erica has been taking over, kind of being our foster coordinator, our faux foster coordinator, because we don't have a position for it, but she's done an amazing job. I know all of you work with her in getting fosters in and out. She's also worked at our front counter. She is moving on to bigger and better things, more pertaining to her degree that she's pursuing. She'll be working at the hospital. We're excited for her that she's able to make that jump. I'm not like a lot of other supervisors that are out there. I want to see my coworkers succeed. So if that means they have to leave us to do that, to move up, I'm so excited for them. And I will do the best, anything that I can to give them that exposure and to move them up. So appreciate that. And I know all of our supervisors feel the same way. Seeing people succeed is good. So let's update you guys on jobs. We have a lot of job openings right now. Michelle is in the process right now. She's offered positions. 3, I don't have my notes on me, Michelle, but 3 full-time, 2 part-time, 4 full-time, 2 part-time, 2 full-time, 2 part-time. Okay. And so those offers of full-time employment, of employment have gone out. We're just waiting for all the drug tests and everything to come back. People to start. I believe one of those, at least one, is coming from the animal caregivers moving into a front office position. So that's awesome. I love to see our people move around. Animal caregivers. Paul, I believe, also has hired 3 full-time, 2 part-time, or is it the other way around, Paul? I think
You're correct.
All right, 3 full-time, 2 part-time. And we may have to open the job up again and do interviews because I know we have animal.
I think we'll still have 3 empties.
Yeah, because the adoption coordinator, the volunteer coordinator, and the spay-neuter coordinator, those have been, recruitment is completed. So now they're just vetting the individuals to make sure they meet the requirements, and we'll get that information back. And so we can start rating them, and hopefully by the end of February, we will have some offers going out for those 3 positions. And I know a lot of our staff, not a lot, I've heard, I think 3 individuals here in the center have applied for those positions. So that means front and also animal caregiver positions might be opening up. So it's exciting to see people wanting to move up to those. We also have our grant writer position is now in recruitment. So if you know any grant writers that want a full-time job, this is the place to be, because you get access to furry time anytime they want. They can come and pet an animal. So we would love to have them, but that's recruiting. You'll see that on the page for 2 weeks, and then it goes into that same vetting process. So we're excited. Nothing coming. Does anybody have any questions?
Clint, I wanted to ask, I know of at least two people that have asked questions, which you've of course been the recipient of. They weren't able to attend today. And so they're probably going to want to see the recorded, the tape of conversations. And I'm just now looking on ASCMV's website page, and when you scroll down and under resources, it has conversations with the center, but there's only 2 posted, and they're October and November conversations sessions. So where are the others, or is it just not been updated?
It hasn't been updated, and I'll work with Paul to get that, because it has to come off the cloud, and then Paul has to send it over to our marketing, and they put it on there. So we'll follow up. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You said that question.
And Clint, this is the only place, that's the only place where you'll find it, right? Is there our conversations? Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it on Facebook.
Thank you.
Saying here's the link to that area. And I read
Great,
all the
thanks.
questions that I got. I read. We're gonna have to alter the invite a little bit, the Facebook post, because I don't know. Sometimes I get questions all the time emailed to me. I don't know if I'm supposed to read it, like if it's questions for this, or if it's just questions they want me to answer. So we're gonna have to alter that, and the subject line, put in something convo or Zoom meeting, something. So look for that change too. But thank you all very much. Appreciate it. If there's any other questions, we'll be excused. All right. See you all. Thank you.